Parcel. Explanations. Berkey. Pilots' felt boots. In far north, they were a usual winter footwear for prisoners in camps. Handmade, were more simple, made more primitive way than regular Berkey. They were handing out parcels at the guardhouse. The foremen were verifying their recipient's identity. The plywood was breaking and cracking in its own plywood way. The trees here didn't break like that. They didn't scream in such voice. Behind a barrier of benches, people with clean hands in two neat military uniforms opened, checked, shook it, and gave it. The boxes of parcels, barely live from the month-long journey, were skillfully thrown into the air. Parcels were falling to the floor and breaking apart. Lumps of sugar, dried fruit, rotten onions, and crumpled packs of Macorca tobacco scattered across the floor. Nobody picked up the scattered stuff. The owners of the parcels did not protest. Receiving the parcel was a miracle of miracles. Guards stood near the guardhouse with rifles in their hands. Some unfamiliar figures were moving in the white frosty fog. I stood near the wall and waited in line. There, these blue chunks, these are not ice. They are sugar. Sugar. Another hour will pass, and I will hold these pieces in my hands, and they will not melt. They will be melting only in my mouth. That big piece will be enough for me for 2 times, for 3 times. And Macorca tobacco, my own Macorca, mainland tobacco. Yaroslavl Belka or Kremenchuk number 2. I will smoke. I will treat everyone, and first of all, those from whom I have been finished smoking homemade cigarettes all this year, mainland tobacco. We were given tobacco rations that had been removed from army warehouses due to their expiration dates, a trick of a giant scale. All the food supplies exceeded their expiration dates were written off for the labor camp. But now I will smoke a real Macorca. After all, if my wife doesn't know that the stronger Macorca is necessary, they will tell her. Surname, the parcel cracked, and prunes, leathery prunes, scattered out of the box. And where's the sugar? And prunes? Just 2 or 3 handfuls. You got Berkey felt boots, pilot's Berkey, ha ha, with rubber soles, ha ha, like the mine director's Berkey. Here, take them. I stood confused. Why do I need Berkey? Here you can only wear Berkey on holidays, and there's no holidays. If it were reindeer fur boots, torbasa, or ordinary felt boots, Berkey, that's too fancy. They're not appropriate. Besides, hey you! Someone's hand touched my shoulder. I turned around so that I could see the Berkey and the box with some prunes at the bottom, and the bosses and the face of the man who was holding my shoulder. It was Andrei Boyko, our mountain mine supervisor guard. And Boyko whispered hastily, "Sell me these felt boots. I'll give you money. 100 rubles. You sure won't be able to carry them to the barrack. They will take them. They will rip them off." And Boyko pointed his finger at the white fog. "Or they will steal them from the barrack on the first night." Sure, you will send them yourself, I thought. Okay, give me money. See what I'm like? Boyko counted out the money. I'm not cheating you, not like the others. I said 100, and look, I give you 100. Boyko was afraid he had overpaid. I folded the dirty pieces of paper into 4, into 8, and hid them in my trouser pocket. I transferred the prunes from the box into my coat. Its pockets had long since been torn out for tobacco pouches. I will buy butter, 1 kilo of butter, and I will eat it with bread, soup, porridge, and sugar. And I'll get a bag from someone, a small bag with a string cord, an essential accessory for every decent non-gangster prisoner. Thieves don't walk around with bags. I returned to the barrack. Everyone was lying on the bunks. Only Yefremov was sitting, his hands on the coal stove, and his face was stretched towards the disappearing worms, afraid to straighten up and tear himself away from the stove. Why don't you light it? The senior duty man approached. Yefremov on duty. The foreman said, let him take them from no matter where, as long as there's firewood. I won't let you sleep anyway. Go find it before it's too late. Yefremov slipped out the barrack door. So, where's the parcel? They made a mistake. I ran to the store. Shaparenko, the store manager, was still selling. There was no one else in the store. Shaparenko, bread and butter. You'll kill me. We'll take it as much as you need. Do you see how much money I have? Shaparenko said. What can a weak like you give? Take your bread and butter and get away, hurry. I forgot to ask for sugar. A kilo of butter, a kilo of bread. I'll go to Semyon Shenin. Shenin was a former secretary of Kiev. Shenin had not yet been shot at that time. We once worked together in the same team, but fate separated us. Shenin was in a barrack. Let's eat. Butter, bread. Shenin's hungry eyes gleamed. I'll bring hot boiled water. A moment. No, don't. I'll be right back now. And he disappeared. Then suddenly someone hit me on the head with something heavy, and when I jumped up and came to my senses, the bag was gone. Every one of them remained in their places and looked at me with malicious joy. That entertainment was of the best kind. In such cases, every one of them was doubly happy. Firstly, someone was in trouble, and secondly, it was not me who was in trouble. It's not envy, no. I didn't cry. I barely stayed alive. It's been 30 years, and I clearly remember that dimly lit barrack, the malicious and joyful faces of my comrades, the damp log on the floor, and Shenin's pale cheeks. I came again to the store. I didn't ask for butter and sugar anymore. I begged for some bread, returned to the barrack, melted some snow, and started to boil prunes. The barrack was already asleep, groaning, wheezing, and coughing. The three of us were boiling at the stove, everyone with his own stuff. Sinso was boiling the crust of bread saved from lunch in order to eat it sticking hot and then to greedily drink the hot water out of a snow smelling of rain and bread. Gubarev stuffed frozen cabbage leaves into the pot. Lucky and cunning man. The cabbage smelled like the best Ukrainian borscht. And I was boiling prunes from that box. We all couldn't help but look into each other's spot. Someone kicked open the barrack doors. Two military men emerged from a cloud of first steam. One, younger, was the head of the camp, Kovalenko. The other, older, was the head of the mine, Ryabov. Ryabov was wearing Berkey, my Berkey. I hardly but realized it was a mistake that they were Ryabov's Berkey. Kovalenko rushed to the stove, waving the pickaxe he had brought with him. Pots again! Now I'll show you pots! I'll show you mess! Kovalenko overturned the pots with soup, with a crust of bread, and cabbage leaves, with prunes, and pierced the bottom of each pot with a pickaxe. Ryabov warmed his hands on the stovepipe. If there are pots, that means there's something to cook, the mine manager said thoughtfully. That, you know, is a sign of contentment. You should see what they're cooking, said Kovalenko, stomping on the pots. The bosses came out, and we began to sort through the crumbled pots and collect each of our own. I berries, Sinsov soggy shapeless bread, and Gubarev crumbs of cabbage leaves. We ate it all at once. That was the most reliable way. I swallowed a few berries and fell asleep. I learned long ago to fall asleep before my feet warm up. I couldn't do that once, but experience. The dream was like some oblivion. Life returned like a dream. The doors opened again. White clouds of steam lying flat on the floor, running to the far wall of the barrack. People in white sheepskin coats, stinking of newness, of not having been worn, and something falling down to the floor, not moving, but alive, grunting. The duty man bowing in a confused but respectful pose before the sheepskin white coats of guards. That's your man, the caretaker guard, pointed to a lump of dirty rags on the floor. That's Yefremov, said the duty man. He'll know better and think before to steal someone else's firewood. Yefremov lied next to me on the bunk for many weeks until he was taken away and died in the disabled prisoners' camp. They beat up his inside. There were plenty of masters of that craft at the camp. He didn't complain. He lied there and moaned quietly.